Mike Riley, ESPNBoston.com, here with Scott Barboza, ESPN.com high school editor at Saugus Center in Lowell. We're just wrapping up the two games we saw tonight. Super 8, BC High, going up against Severian earlier tonight at Malden Catholic and Catholic Memorial. We'll take you right to the highlights. BC High versus Severian Eagles with a 1-0 lead in the series. First period, Severian has the game's first chance. Short-handed, Tim Sweeney shot, but Brandon Payson comes up with the big stop. Minutes later, the Eagles open the scoring here, but Severian turns the puck over and Connor Noonan picks it up, makes a few moves, roops it into the top of the net for a 1-0 BC High with just under 5 minutes to play in the first period. The floodgates would open here. Jake Lemansky puts away the nice Steve DeForge pass. Take a look at that again right there. BC High goes on top 2-0. Seconds later, Aiden Foley takes advantage of a Hawks turnover for a 3-0 lead after the first period. Second period action, Sean Davis' shot is blocked, but Sam Topham puts home the rebound for a 4-0 BC High lead, and that's how this one would finish. BC High moves on to the semifinal round. That game will be played next Wednesday, March 12th. And in the second game, the Catholic Memorial Knights needing a win against Malden Catholic here in the nightcap. 6:35 left in the first. Zach Sullivan on the power play. Knights take a 1-0 lead. And then the Lancers would respond. A turnaround wrister by Tyler Sifferlin to tie the game at 1 apiece. Malden Catholic then takes the lead on a power play. John McLean. The Lancers go up 2-1. The Knights would tie things up before the intermission on a power play. Sullivan scoring again. Aaron Clancy and Tim Weinstein with the assist. Taking to the second period here, the Knights with a fluky goal. Tim Weinstein's shot bounces off the back and trickles into the net. 3-2 CM on top. Anthony Panaggio scores CM's third unanswered goal. Weinstein again with the assist. 4-2 CM. Malden Catholic makes a change in net. Alex Reeses now into the game, but then the Lancers would go on a run of their own. Brian Cameron from Matt Philippe, top corner from in front, 4-3. And then Philippe would score again, and it was a shorthanded one that would tie the game at 4. And then the Lancers would get one more in the final seconds of the period on a Tyler Sifferlin goal, 5-3. After the second period, the future UMass Lowell Riverhawk. Third period, Brian Cameron scores the final goal of the game. Philippe with the assist, and the Lancers go on to beat the Knights 6-4. They outshot CM 40-16. Lancers advance to the semi-final round next week. So Scott, let's talk about BC High coming in with a 1-0 series lead over Severian. All they had to do was win, and win they did.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It was a little bit of a feeling out process early on in the game here tonight, not really going one way in particular, and then all of a sudden the floodgates just opened up for BC High. I think this is the team that we saw tonight here that we have seen through most of the season here. They were a little bit tentative, I thought, in Game 1 back at the Garden against Severian. A little bit of a feeling out process there. Obviously, again, Patrick Kramer not playing again here tonight. We'll see what happens with that moving on to the semifinals, obviously, but I think you finally saw, an effort here from BC High tonight that they're able to move the puck with ease through the neutral zone, as we've seen so much. That defensive core, Sammy Topham with a nice goal here tonight too. I thought he was a real standout tonight. This is more accustomed to what we've seen from BC High throughout all the season. I think that trends pretty well for them looking ahead to next week.
And Malden Catholic would go on to beat CM, as we just showed you the highlights there, 6-4 the final. Catholic Memorial eliminated from this tournament here, but I think the real turning point of that game, that particular game, were the 4 unanswered goals. Malden Catholic starting late in the second period.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I mean, Malden Catholic comes out and outshoots CM 17-4 in the first period, but really kind of felt like the game was kind of even, and John McLean and head coach of the Lancers in his post-game remarks actually commented on that, said he didn't really feel his team played their system through the first period here. It wasn't a particularly good period for them. And then obviously CM comes back with the momentum there, scores the 3 straight goals, and really was a game of swings. And then Malden Catholic, as you mentioned, comes back with the 4 straight to really, close it out there with authority. But again, as we've seen throughout this tournament, I think Tyler Sifferlin and Matt Philippe are playing some of their best hockey, which is pretty exceptional to say for two, Hockey East commits here that have played, so well all season long. But also Aaron Nazarian hasn't gotten on the score sheet with a goal yet here in the Super 8, as we saw, last year he lit up this place, but also had 3 assists tonight. So, a couple people asked me during the live chat, what's Nazarian up to in this tournament? I think he's played very well. I think tonight he played extremely well, to be honest with you. And he's not scoring goals, but I think, really good players at this level, they do the little things to help their team wins too, and I've really seen that from our reigning Mr. Hockey.
Speaking of which, his future head coach, Dick Umili,
yep.
UNH head coach, was here, another Hockey East recruit, so Aaron Nazarian staying close by. Should be good.
Yeah, we saw a couple of the coaches here from Hockey East schools represented. Jerry York was in the house tonight as well. I think you can read into that particular BC High defenseman that might be of interest there. But it's always great to see at this level of hockey. I think, as we've seen every year, people always talk about MIA versus prep school versus juniors. Look, kids, if you're out there and you can play, they're going to find you. If you get your way to this stage of the season, to this kind of a rink, playing a meaningful game like this, some of the best people out there are going to see you, and there's going to be a future for you.
And speaking of the future, tomorrow night we'll see 2 remaining teams in the final part of this first round, I guess you can say. We'll see Austin Prep going up against Springfield Cathedral. Against Central Catholic, and then Springfield Cathedral against Duxbury. That's tomorrow. 2 good games, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock right here at ESPNBoston.com. We'll have the recap tomorrow, but should be 2 good games, though, Scott.
Yeah, again, as I said after the game ones, I thought everything was pretty even. We saw, 1 even game, 1 not-so-even game here tonight, and I would expect more of that to come tomorrow night.
Looking forward to it. We already have 1 team headed to the semifinals. It's BC High and actually Malden Catholic, for that matter, too. We'll see if one of the other 2 can advance tomorrow as well. Scott Barboza here, ESPNBoston.com. Mike Riley, ESPNBoston.com. Want to thank the hard-working crew from Songus Center here in Lowell. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.